Hello there, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be discussing probably the most balanced team in the game, Imperial Troopers. So let's just hop right into the video. First, we're going to go over composition and best mods, which is not something I know much about because my modding isn't great, but it is what it is. So let's pull out Imperial Trooper filter right here. Start off with, even though Stark's my most powerful, let's start off with Veers. So Veers, you typically do not want to be the fastest. I think the ideal turn order you want is either Stark or Piett first, and then the other one, and then you want Veers. So, yeah, you have him at some decent amount of speed. 261 may seem like a lot to some people. It may seem to like absolutely nothing to other people, which I'm assuming most people think it's absolutely nothing, because my modding game isn't great, but it is what it is. So I have him modded right here, speed potency. Potency is kind of a luxury stat, but landing ability block when he uses his mass assist, that's pretty nice to have that bonus potency. Imperial Troopers kind of rely on speed. And as you saw, Colonel Stark and General Veers, they are both relicked because of the Sith Eternal requirements. So these are just luxury Omegas. This one is almost completely necessary for Imperial Troopers. It is completely necessary for Imperial Troopers. You can't really run an effective Veers lead Troopers without the Omega on this, but that's pretty cheap. Aggressive Tactician, this is also a very good Zeta, and it's probably one that's almost mandatory for high-end Troopers. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about Veers. He doesn't have to hit super hard. He's just there to support the team, because he's like the glue that holds... Well, no, that's Piett. Never mind. But, yeah, let's move on to, say, Stark. I don't know. Stark, I think you want to have him modded for speed crit chance. Yes, I know. I've got health mods on him, but just take a look at this mod and... I don't feel like taking off this mod anytime soon, so yeah, that's going to stick on him for a while. This Zeta right here, Imperial Intelligence, is a completely luxury. You don't need this at all. It's nice for certain challenges and stuff, but yeah, pulling back turn meter from the enemy, it's just luxury. Pretty much all of Stark's Omegas are pretty good, so I'd consider that, and... For those who push up Stark just for Sith Eternal, which is what I suggest, because I don't think I would have upgraded Stark as much if he were to not be a Sith Eternal requirement. I'm thinking I still would have relicked Veers, actually, even if he wasn't required for Sith Eternal. But yeah, I'm just going to park them both at Relic 3. So Stark and Piett, you both, well... I'd say the most common things, you can also have a fast Gideon, but for where like I'm at, and typically my videos are directed for newer players, I think you'd probably be better off with a faster Piett or a faster Stark. So, if your Stark moves, if your Stark moves first, you want your Piett to be 70% or more of Stark's speed, because Stark will pass out, or at least if you have this Omega. You always want to open with this ability. The AI likes to do this for whatever reason, because the AI is really dumb. But you want to use scan all wavelengths first. This passes critical chance up and critical damage up, which is 2 buffs. They're each 10% turn meter. And Stark also, when the Emperor's Trap kicks in, that'll give him another 10%. I'll talk about the Emperor's Trap in a couple minutes. So that will be 30% turn meter that Stark will be feeding once his turn starts. So then you want it to be Piett's turn. However, you can also run this with Piett going first and Stark going second, because both of them could work. And then in Piett's case, you want to, let's just switch over to Piett real quick. In Piett's case, you want to do Imperial Ambition first, and whoever you mark down depends on your confidence in X character. But what this will do is this will give offense up to your whole team, which is 1 buff, 10%, and it will also give Emperor's Trap, which is another 10%. So that's 20% turn meter, meaning your Stark should be 80% of the speed that your Piett is. And then you'll have an effective turn meter train because you don't want holes in the Imperial Trooper turn meter train because that's the counter to Imperial Troopers is bad modding, I suppose. And the Emperor's Trap, this is almost a 100% required Zeta for an effective Imperial Troopers team. Sucks to say, not a whole lot of teams have like mandatory Zetas, but if you're not running Emperor's Trap, you're gonna have a rough time with Imperial Troopers. And what I'm discussing is for early game players. The late game players, they have the luxury of like being able to use multiple Imperial Trooper teams. And that sounds really nice now that I think of it. But yes, this is, say if you put all 5 of your best Imperial Troopers in one team, this is what I'm trying to get at, because obviously all the tips and strategies would be completely different if you were to split things up and go half Imperial Troopers on one side, half on the other. So, Imperial Ambition, you want to mark someone down. It really depends on your confidence, because if it's going to be if you think you're just going to absolutely steamroll the enemy, you should probably mark Dark Trooper. But if you have a weaker Dark Trooper like me, I might be a slight bit concerned of him being killed out of the gate when he gets marked. So in trickier matches, I typically mark Stark instead. I don't think you want to be marking Veers. Even if he is like your highest gear, your tankiest character, I don't think you want to mark Veers. Because once he dies, you can't gain the bonus turn meter from kills. Once he dies, you can't call the mass... Well, I guess Gideon can call a mass assist, but you get the point. This Zeta is 100% luxury. This was probably even a mistake to put this on, but this looked really nice on paper. It's a bit of a scam. The Daze is kind of nice, though. I have to say, the Daze is kind of nice. Piett... you should probably never upgrade Piett's lead, but this was bothering me a little bit, so... It was bothering me having a Gear 12 Piett and like 5 upgrades available or something, so I just finally gave in. This Omega is pretty key as well. Piett, I think you just want to be remodding for speed and X other stat. I don't really think it matters. I mean, just don't do like defense. I don't think the other stat matters, it's just I had some, a high speed secondary here, plus 15 speed, so. And as you can see, Piett is, Piett is, over 70% of Stark's speed, so it should be okay. Moving on is Dark Trooper, Archer. Dark Trooper, if there's any character in Imperial Trooper, say if you want to relic one character, leave the rest as mediocre, you want to relic Dark Trooper. He's more expensive to relic because of these things right here. The Kyrotech, hate Kyrotech, terrible addition to the game. And Dark Trooper, he has one Zeta here. I mean, I don't have it, so I can't really speak my mind about it, but it doesn't look as great. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but his basic is probably Dark Trooper's best asset, to be honest. This is kind of nice. This Omega is pretty good. I suggest getting that. This one, it's an okay Omega. If you notice your team is falling behind on turn meter a lot, you can definitely upgrade this ability and boost them up. The basic is the main part of Dark Trooper, and if you want to have one high gear character, make a Dark Trooper. He hits for a ton of damage. So I think Dark Trooper you want to mod for just offense, just flat out offense and X other stat, which in this case I've chose health because apparently I always choose health. I don't know why that is. But yeah, Dark Trooper, he's fairly easily accessible. He's from 1C hard. However, he's only a single drop, so that's going to be a bit annoying. But yeah, Dark Trooper is very useful and probably one of the best relics in the game. And for all of you who do not know, Dark Trooper cannot critically hit unless this unit has advantage, so you do not want to put critical chance mods on him. The only thing that critical chance mods will affect is his AoE, which you don't really need critical chance on that. So I just modded him for health because I always have like a bunch of high-speed health secondaries just lying around for whatever reason. And yeah. Next one is Gideon. there's two main ways to run a Gideon. You want to either run a Gideon blazing fast, which is for most like mid to late game players, or early game, I think you actually want a slower Gideon, which maybe this is a bit of a hot take. It's currently my opinion. And no, it's not actually because I just have a poor mod. Well, I mean, it is kind of because I have a poor modding game, but if I were to ignore that, then I'd still think a slow Gideon could be fine, because he is the slowest Imperial Trooper I have by 4 speed, because I believe Dark Trooper is at 242, correct? Yes, 242. So Moff Gideon will go last. Moff Gideon will go last and control the situation, meaning they'll run it back from the complete beginning, and this resets all turn meter. Allies gain 25% turn meter. This pre-Zeta right here, this tier 7 upgrade is pretty crucial. It's crucial for, like, say, lower speed trooper teams, but yeah. These Omegas are just luxury, damage percentage. And unlike Piett's lead, I actually haven't upgraded this, which I think is good. I think you want to Omega Demoralized. Demoralized is a really good ability. And once again, I have speed mods, which I highly suggest. I highly suggest a speed arrow, and I have health, because, like, what else would I use? It seems like I'm very creative in my modding, and I always pick health as, like, my random other stat. Okay, well, these aren't even good mods. Whatever. Piett, or what's it called? Not Piett. Gideon also requires some Chirotech, so he's a bit more expensive to gear. I just have him sitting at gear 9, because I don't want to put Chirotech on him. Control the situation. This isn't a terrible Zeta. And if you were to split up, I suggest don't get this Zeta unless you're an in-game player and you can make multiple Imperial Troopers teams, like maybe an Imperial Troopers and an Imperial Remnants. But I suggest that Zeta on the leader doesn't really matter that much. So yeah, Gideon going last can sometimes work, because sometimes Gideon will likely go before the other team. I have my Gideon at like 234, or sorry, not 234, 238. This isn't even a fast Gideon. It's nowhere near a fast Gideon. He'll get 20 speed from Veers' lead, so he'll be running at 258. And he'll have some bonus turn meter from Stark Piett, so he will definitely run before the enemies. And he'll just do control the situation. And I think what you're going to do is you're going to have Stark open first, buffs up, Piett buffs up, and then call the mass assist on Veers, kill X character. Imperial Troopers rely on weak links, so you typically want to target, unless you can, like, instantly nuke out a threat with the AoE, which could definitely be a possibility if A, you have a high gear Dark Trooper, or B, you have high gear other people, because having crit chance up, crit damage up, and offense up will be lethal. Well, I mean, lethal without, whatever. And yeah, if Gideon goes last, he can go for set the enemies back to square one, and your team will take another 5 turns before they manage to get a turn, if they get a turn at all. So yeah, other people I have to give a bit of a mention to. I'd say the ideal Imperial Troopers team is Veers, Piett, Dark Trooper, Gideon, Range Trooper. That is my opinion. And yes, I know I didn't include my highest power Imperial Trooper. Stark is only there because he's a Sith Eternal requirement. I keep roasting Stark, I know, but yeah, he's pretty much there because he's a Sith Eternal requirement. I do use him, though, so I don't just put him on the bench at Relic 3 in a Zeta. I also have to discuss about a Range Trooper. You can leave Range Trooper rather low gear like I have. I think you want this Omega here. Retribution is pretty nice. You can have some speed, but as you can see, my mods are garbage. You don't really need that good speed. And once again, I have picked health as my random stat. I didn't even know this before recording this video, how many health sets I have. This one is luxury, but it's mainly there. You can even keep it at level 1. For Imperial Troopers, allies have 50% chance to call another buffed Imperial Trooper ally. So, yeah, Range Trooper, you can leave at low gear. He's there to make Imperial Trooper allies call other Imperial Trooper allies to assist. Shore Trooper, He's here for, like, say, Darth Rev encounters. However, I use him with Vader and Thrawn more than I do Imperial troopers, even though he is an Imperial trooper. He is mainly there for this, which is a pre-taunt. Lunch Trooper really enjoys eating the opening, what's it called, Insanity from Darth Revan. So that's kind of the purpose of him, to be honest, but he is a pretty useful character, I have to say. You can run him in a bit of an Imperial Troopers team, but I guess you'll be fine if Gideon moves last, because a Darth Rev encounter is a bit dicey with Imperial Troopers unless you have a high-gear Dark Trooper. A high-gear Dark Trooper can, like, one-shot a Malak or something crazy. And we're not really going to talk about Shore Trooper, Snow Trooper, and Magma Trooper. For those of you who know Darth Loquitur, he has, like, a really good Snow Trooper's guide or something. And Snow Trooper looks really fun on his account. I'm kind of tempted to gear him up, to be honest. But I have to give another mention to Death Trooper. I may consider upgrading him because I have to relic my Krennic for Sith Eternal. Royal Guard even got a buff. I said in one of my earlier videos, my Sith Eternal guide, that Royal Guard was forever be better than Krennic. He got a buff, and Krennic is still garbage. So this right here, I've never actually really used this guy. This is from what my experience of looking at this before the video. This looks pretty nice, having a stun and a daze. This looks like it could potentially help counter Sith Eternal. If Piett's AoE does not land the daze, then this could land the daze, because now you really need to daze Sith Eternal for an Imperial Trooper counter. This is pretty nice for whatever reason. If you guys can see, the spell keeps switching from a capital to a lowercase, so I don't know what that's all about, but cooldown increases are real nice, especially if it's a full team cooldown increase. That looks like a really good ability. This one, Deathmark also looks real nice. I can't speak today. Krennic's Guard, I assume this is going to be garbage, judging by the name. It's not that bad. And, yes, most YouTubers are actually going to look over what they're reviewing first, but not me, because I'm big brain. What? So that's pretty much all for composition now. We'll jump into gameplay. So the next bit of gameplay is going to be from Galactic Challenges. There's two of them, I believe. There's one Bad Batch, and there's one against Scoundrels, both of which are Relic 7, the max tier in Galactic Challenges. So I believe there are no modifiers that help Imperial Troopers, so this is just raw gameplay. Both of which tiers have been absolutely smashed. So if you guys do not believe in the utility of Imperial Troopers, which, well, I mean, why wouldn't you? Then we'll prove it to you in a couple of seconds. So we're going to transition over to that in 3, 2, 1.
What would you do if there was a child right in front of you